Now, before we go any further, I do have one last thing that we're going to do. Every week, we invite you guys to jump inside of our mailbag and leave us questions so that we can answer those questions for you. And that's what we're going to do today. You've asked the questions. We're going to answer them. Let's jump into the mailbag. Number one question of the week. And by the way, I haven't actually looked at these questions. I just wait till they come on the screen, and then I just give you my first thing that comes out of my head. Can the Houston Rockets still make the playoffs without James Harden? Look, the answer to that one is yeah, of course they can. The NBA lets half the teams in the NBA in the playoffs. So you don't need to be a great elite team to get into the playoffs. You just need to be better than average. You can even have a losing record. So can the Houston Rockets do it? Yes, of course they can. Will the Houston Rockets do it? I believe they have an opportunity. I believe that team right now is going to become John Wall's team. John Wall's a heck of a ball player. Now, will they have the three-headed monster everybody else has? No. But John Wall may score 30 points a game. So, and he's, like I said, he's a good player. He plays decent on defense. He can lock up his man. He can score, and that's what's really important. And he's got that little demon mentality where he's not going to let you bully him. He's not going to let you talk trash about him. He's going to come out and he's going to play ball. I like John Wall too because he's a professional. So I think whatever was going on before with James Harden that kind of created that loose environment that was happening in Houston, I think it'll all change. I think John Wall will help to change that culture there. Some of the new guys that come in hopefully will help as well. New coach, new general manager, new culture in Houston. It may take them a few weeks to get it, but I think once they get it, Houston most definitely has an opportunity to make the playoffs in the West. Are they going to do anything when they get there? I highly doubt it, but they do have an opportunity, unless they make another move, unless they bring another move and bring in somebody else that can complement John Wall. But if they stay the way they are right now, I think they're competitive enough to make the playoffs. I don't think they're good enough to do anything once they get there. Let's go to our next question. If Deshaun Watson leaves Texans, will J.J. Watt follow suit and sign elsewhere after the season? I don't think that one has anything to do with the other one. I don't want to conflate the issues. J.J. Watt is due, I think, $18 million this year. If the Texans cut him, they owe him nothing. There's no dead cap space. As we talked about earlier in the show, the Texans are way over the cap. I believe they're $16 million over the cap. So just letting go of J.J. Watt gives them an opportunity to get under the cap space. So I don't think they're connected. I think getting rid of J.J. Watt's a tricky situation, though. I really do. That guy is, without a doubt, the face of the franchise. And you can say Watson's the face of the franchise because he's the quarterback, but Watt is more the face of the franchise. He's been there longer. He's done so many great things for that community, raising money after the hurricanes, raising money for COVID. I mean, the guy is just, he goes on Twitter or whatever his social media platform du jour is, and he can just do anything. He can do anything for that community. You need money, J.J. Watt will get you $1 million. I think he made like $20 million raising money for people for the hurricane. So a few years back. So J.J. Watt's a hero in that community. When and if they let J.J. Watt go, I don't think it's going to sit well with the fan base. But if there's ever a time to do it, it's right now. The fan base is at its lowest point. You let J.J. Watt go. You try to make the best of it with Deshaun Watson. Hopefully maybe bring in a coach that he thinks is a good coach. And if not, part ways with both of them. But in my opinion, I don't think one is tied to the other. I don't think that if they get rid of Deshaun Watson, your next thought is, okay, J.J. Watt goes. I mean, if you want to think of it that way, I guess you could say, well, if we're getting rid of Watson, let's get rid of Watt now and get everybody mad at us all at once. But I'm not sure that's how an NFL franchise thinks. So I think Watt could be gone. I don't believe it's for the same reasons that Watson could be gone. Last question of the day here on What's on Sports podcast. With Tom Brady and Drew Brees playing in the divisionals, will we see more NFL quarterbacks play well into their 40s? I don't know that if it has anything to do with them playing in the divisionals. I think this is a trend that we've been seeing for a while and we will continue to see. I believe that players are taking care of their body in a way that they never used to. We know so much more about nutrition. We know so much more about workouts. We know so much more about how the body ages. And there are so many things that we can do to keep the inflammation down. And that's one of the things that I as I've gotten older, have tried to learn about myself. There are certain foods, there are certain things that I do that cause inflammation in my body. Now, I'm not comparing myself to a next level elite NFL athlete, but I am saying as we all get older, the age span for everybody is growing longer and longer. We're growing to live longer into our 70s and 80s than we ever have at any time before. And because of that, we're staying healthier as when we're younger. So 40 isn't 40 anymore. When I was a kid, 40 was like, wow, you're 40 or 50, you're going to die soon. You're so old and over the hill. And those people felt that way because they weren't even sure they were going to make it to 60. Well, most of us think we'll make it to 80 now. So we start taking care of ourselves in a way that actually benefits ourselves in our 30s, 40s, and 50s. You look at a 45-year-old man now, a lot of times he's not looked at as an older man. He's just looked at as a man. Middle age is considered in your 50s now. When you have that midlife crisis, it happens somewhere in your 50s, as opposed to how it used to happen in your 40s. So I truly believe that these guys aren't setting a precedent. They're riding the wave of the precedent that's been set in our culture. We're all taking better care of ourselves. We're all more aware of the foods that we eat. We're all trying to do some type of exercise, workout. We're exercising our minds as well. We're doing a lot of things to keep ourselves nimble and keep our bodies repairing itself. There are little things that these players do, like the things that you can do from a health standpoint, as far as the supplements you can take. Some of these guys sleep in oxygen chambers. Some of these guys do intermittent fasting. Some of these guys have gone to a keto diet. Some of these guys have gone vegan. It's all very interesting. So I'm looking forward to see this next generation and how long they can play into their 30s and 40s. The one thing I will say, the one caveat, is the players are being paid in a way that they've never been paid before. And I'm talking about the amount of money that they make. I mean, tremendous, huge money. So this is a double-edged sword. This gives them the amount of money that they can take care of themselves. You have a guy like Russell Wilson openly bragging that he spends $1 million a year on taking care of his body. That may or may not be true. I think it's bullshit, but that may or may not be true. If it is true, at some point, Russell Wilson will say to himself, how much longer do I want to continue to beat my body this way? How much longer do I want to continue to put this investment of $1 million a year into my body when I've got $100 million in the bank? Now, I've never had $100 million in the bank, but I've had a lot of money in the bank before, and I still have some money in the bank. But the more money you have in the bank, the more your attitude changes about a lot of other things. And I believe that eventually this will change the attitude of these quarterbacks. So the end of my summary is, I believe that players can play longer. I believe also that they won't play longer because they make the amount of money that will prevent them from thinking in that way. And that's my thoughts. That's our mailbag. Thank you guys so much for listening today to the What's on Sports podcast. Whether you listened on iTunes or one of your favorite downloaded podcast platforms, or whether you watched us live on Facebook or YouTube, or if maybe you're catching one of these clips later on, I can't tell you how much I appreciate everyone that's been listening, all the letters we've been getting, and all the support. We look forward to having an amazing 2021 with you guys, and I'm looking forward to a great weekend of football. I'll see you all on Monday.